What is your worst sexual experience? My current girlfriend rubbed some muscle cream on my legs after a bit of sport. She then started to go down on me, forgetting to wash her hands after the cream. I started to feel a little hot and cold sensation which ended up in scorching pain for about 30 minutes. We laugh about it today, but in the heat of the moment, it was the worst thing ever. This was about 5 or 6 years ago. First time doing the deed with a new GF. She stops halfway through and runs to the bathroom. Doesn't come back after like 10 minutes, and then I hear her calling for me, telling me not to come in, but asking if I can go get some Depends for her from CVS. Okay, go. Come back. Hand them to her without looking into the bathroom. 5 minutes later she tells me she has lost a lot of blood and asks if I can drive her to the hospital. The closest one being the hospital she works at as a nurse. We get there, sign into the reception desk of the while waiting to be seen by the triage nurse. She starts to pass out on my shoulder from blood loss. They finally see us, and the triage nurse asks her directly in front of me in the triage room if this is the product of domestic abuse. She says no, thankfully. Then they take her to the back, and the doctors find a tear that has been causing all of the bleeding. They let her go, and I take her home. It's now like 2 AM and I've been riding this roller coaster for about 6 hours. I will never forget that experience. Scared the shit out of me on multiple levels. Damn dude, you literally tore her a new one. It's not mine, but I had a boyfriend when I was 19, and they had a very small apartment. His mom was sleeping in the middle room, and you had to go through that to get to his room. One night I slept over, and I really needed to pee around 5 AM. I got up, opened the door, went in and saw his mom ducking with a dude. I panicked and instead going back to my BFS room, I ran into the bathroom. IDK how long I was there for, but I remember them saying she's never gonna come out. I eventually did. Apologized like 500 times, and even though it was 11 years ago, I'm still embarrassed, and I still have certain images in my head. He stops mid-thrust and says, I know this is a bad time to say this, but I think we should just be friends. I'm curious what your next move was. Just lock eyes with him and stare. First one to flinch loses and must concede. Having sex with a girl at a house party who bled over both of us. But because it was dark neither of us realized. We proceeded to walk into a house party full of people with blood over our clothes and hands. One time I accidentally tore one of my ex's piercings out when it got caught in the sheet. She cried and there was a lot of blood. Totally an accident, but a shitty one for sure. My girlfriend had her nipple piercing fall out when the ball unscrewed, and she asked me to try to get it back in, no matter the screaming. Nope, I don't blame her. That piercing isn't one you go through twice. Myself and a good friend went through a stint where we had casual sex, mostly because we were bored and in college. Once while we were hooking up, she asked me to choke her, so naturally I obliged. Then she said harder, so I did. Then she said harder again, so I did. Turns out, she shouldn't have flown that close to the sun. Her eyes rolled back into her head, not the good way, and she went limp. Immediately I start freaking the duck out thinking I just killed this poor girl. She wakes up, after about 10 of the longest seconds of my life, in a full-blown panic attack. I got her calmed down and everything ended up alright. But I definitely thought I killed her, and I was definitely going to prison. We're still great friends, and laugh about it now. But I've still never gone soft that fast in my life. Very romantic jacuzzi tub setting with music and candles. She's sitting on top facing the same way as me, leans back to kiss me, and her hair catches fire from the candles behind us. Luckily it was put out quickly, but the smell and cleanup was the worst. So my ex and I, early/mid-20s, decided to have a quickie before work. Well, we were fighting the clock so there wasn't much foreplay. He ducked me from behind on the bed. We finish and then all I hear is this horrified scream. I look and see blood all over the sheets. My immediate thought was, oh duck, that's a heavy and unexpected period. Then I see him holding his dick. Blood literally spurting through hands. Turns out he ripped his frenulum. Foreplay is important. Friends. Oh. The banjo snap. I've had that. Ducking hell. I wince in sympathy. My coworker and I both got wasted after the work holiday party and started hooking up. Right before we were gonna do the deed I started having second thoughts. Not knowing how to verbalize that in my altered state of mind. I just burst into tears. He probably thinks the sight of his dick made me cry. We are cool now, but he didn't look me in the eye for weeks. That's either a massive confidence boost or a massive ego destroyer depending on why you think she cried. The real personality test. When he kept meowing at me during sex. Slept for the first time with a guy I've been seeing for 2 months. He was done in under 2 minutes and wanted to go to sleep. I was like, okay. And turned sideways to face the wall. He spooned me and cupped my right breast from behind and said this is how I sleep with my mom. And that's where I stopped scrolling. Good night Reddit. Never change. My exact thought. I was with a guy who kept smelling my armpits despite me telling him clearly that I wasn't into that and who came in less than 10 seconds. Which was worse, the armpit sniffing or how fast he came? I honestly don't remember it that much anymore. Thank God for that. Put that unsolicited pit sniffing was a huge turn off anyway, so I wasn't too mad about him being done ASAP. Trying to get a boner while tripping balls on LSD. Only threesome I've ever been offered, and I was not even remotely horny. I went down. She came. She climbed on. She started sobbing. I'm still inside her. Her involuntary spasms from crying are getting me closer to the edge while she's telling me that she's never gotten off with a guy before and her boyfriend is gonna be so mad. She told me they broke up. I then had the least sexy orgasm ever because of the sobbing vibrations. Somehow the condom broke. Pregnancy scare. Ladies and gentlemen, my first time. Holy shit. Hooked up with my best friend's brother-in-law in my other friend's car during a birthday party. Bit my lip so hard that it bruised. Took his pants off and he revealed that he had a micropenis and erectile dysfunction, but still wanted to continue. After multiple failed attempts to get things going, he started having a deep conversation with me, who he just met about 2 hours prior, about how he was leaving for basic training in 2 days and was worried about dying in Afghanistan. Friend who loaned me the car ended up coming outside to tell us he needed it back to go for a beer run, and he saw me completely naked in this dude with his head in his hands drunkenly crying about how he felt like his recruitment officer lied to him about all the great things that joining the army would do for his life. I threw the condom over my shoulder in preparation for round 2 because I got a second wind. While I'm busy doing the deed, I hear an awful gagging / choking sound behind me. The cat was choking on the discarded condom. Semen and all. My girlfriend's mum bursts in the room thinking someone is dying. You can imagine how the rest plays out. GG. Talk about destroying her pussy. You made me choke on my chips. I once had a guy just from out of nowhere spit straight into my mouth. Like a big ol' wad of warm saliva. I had no problem swallowing his cum lol, but for some reason I found that just kind of disgusting. I guess the surprise factor didn't help. Learn from porn. No doubt. Waking up on a friend's apostrophe couch to find that she pulled my underwear off and had put me inside of her. After pushing her off and a very uncomfortable conversation, I say that I don't do casual because I'm worried about STDs, and she snaps back that they aren't a big deal. You just take pills and they go away. She then admitted to having chlamydia. I really haven't been all that comfortable around others since then. Self-inflicted on a solo mission. Used Suave strawberry shampoo as a masturbator relubricant on my penis. The next day skin on my shaft was flaking off like a lizard. My GF suggested sex that next night, and I had to come clean about why I needed a rain check. At least you didn't find out till late that you were using lotion with glitter in it. 0/10. At the start of our relationship, right before our first time together, my boyfriend groped one of my stomach rolls thinking it was a boob and asked me when I took my bra off. I was still wearing it lol. It was mortifying in the moment for the both of us, but now kind of hilarious to look back on. I was abused by a babysitter as a child, so I couldn't even get hard for my first BJ at 15. Girl dumped me the next day, and I'm sure told the story to a few people. Pretty embarrassing. Hope you are doing good now. Sorry you had to have that happen to you. Stay strong. Thank you. Yeah, I'm fine. Just have to stay away from some things because of the obvious. Had sex with 90s pager in ass. This asks way more questions than it answers. Not for me, it doesn't. When I was in HS I started at a new school, and on my first day a girl started talking to me, and turned out we took the same bus home, and lived close to each other. She invited me over to watch a movie with her, and after the movie we got busy. Was great till we switched to doggy, and she had shit stains on her butt. Went soft immediately, and went to the bathroom, and washed my pages. Left without saying anything. Still feel bad that I didn't tell her why. I had a partner where he'd almost always have shit flakes on his ass, so I tried really hard to get him to use wet wipes. But he only ever used them to wipe his dick off after sex. I should told him directly why I wanted him to use them, but I didn't want to embarrass him. B-Day. Best technology human ever invented after WC. She told me I had a smaller dick than the last person she slept with, and I went full erect to completely flax it in. 5 seconds. You think it's small now? Watch this. Apostrophe. Met a girl at a party. We hit it off and went on a few dates. She came over to watch some movies and we eventually moved into the bedroom. She wanted the lights off and just laid there like a body pillow. She literally did nothing but still sweat, as if we were doing P90X in an attic during the peak of summer in the Florida heat without an air conditioner. Then after 15 minutes of this she freaked out and said that she has to be a good Christian and couldn't go through with it and bailed. So I was blue-balled by Jesus mid-tummy slap and had to clean my sheets because they were soaking wet in the middle of the night. Cheers. A one-off with a girl I'd went on one previous date with. She insisted Bush was the best grunge band and kept telling me I was making up my last name. For whatever reason we still had sex, only my second partner. It was so empty. I felt nothing. No pleasure. She didn't seem to either. It was ducking weird. Later on she was making cornbread and telling me how she had a stillbirth like a week or two before. Shit was haunted. How was the cornbread? I don't know why, but this made me seriously start laughing. Thanks for that, stranger. I hooked up with a girl while going through bad depression and I cried on top of her when I couldn't get a boner. Sounds horrible. Mixing up lube with icy hot while reaching into a drawer after a long night. As bad as it was for me, she definitely got the worst of it. Hope you're doing well, Ashley. Was on a long drive late at night, and my girlfriend decided to give me roadhead. It was going rather nicely, and I was getting close, when the tractor trailer in front of me hit a bump. The doors flew open, and boxes started spilling out all over the road in front of me. So I'm screaming, swerving, and swearing, hitting boxes here and there, with her head in my lap also screaming. Got through it, pulled over, and haven't had roadhead since. Dude went down on me and bit me on the clit. I kneed him in the face. He insisted I was a psycho prude because that's a big porn thing. God, I wish fellow guys would stop trying to learn things from porn and just ask their partner if there is anything they like or would like to try. Ends up much better for both parties involved. Met a girl on Tinder and she looked very different from her photos, but it had been a while and she seemed cool, so we got drunk and went back to her place. I overdid it on booze a little bit, so I didn't really pay attention to the place, but I could tell it was very dirty. The sex was actually pretty okay, except that she kept saying stuff like, you know you aren't gonna call me in the morning, and similarly self-disparaging things. Anyways, I finally manage to finish and decide to sleep until I'm sober enough to drive. I wake up in what can only be described as a hoarder's nest. Trash everywhere. Half-eaten meals littered the room. The smell wasn't nearly as bad as I expected it to be, which was surprising. Hightailed it out there. Turns out she was right. I didn't text her in the morning. I've had my fair share of awkward moments, but the most recent would be when a guy spilled Mountain Dew on me right in the heat of the moment. The spill itself was not as bad as him not wanting to stop, though. I had to just kinda sit and be sticky for a few minutes. The second time it managed to woo a girl I was extremely into at the time. The first time it got far too drunk and my penis didn't work. So this time it got far too drunk and my penis didn't work. We still did some stuff. She got hers, so to speak, and we ended up just sleeping together afterwards. The next morning I sort of tried to break the ice a bit and cuddle. Offered to make breakfast and suggested that maybe we try again. Now that we were less drunk and maybe my penis would work. She proceeded to tell me everything that she thought was wrong with me, including that my penis was far too small for her anyway. But funnily enough not mentioning that maybe I drank too much at the time. Either way, it was a rubbish experience that led not only to a 3-year dry spell due to me having no self-confidence after the dressing down I received, but also then what I now recognize as an abusive relationship, because the next one knew exactly how to prey on someone with no self-confidence after the dressing down feed received. Tinder meetup. Casual. We knew what it was. Go over to his place. He still lives with his fam, but whatever. Instead of going upstairs to his bedroom, we stay down in the family room with the TV on. We start to get into things. Start having sex. Not even 5 minutes pass when suddenly their front door opens, which is directly connected to where we were. I'm in my birthday suit. He runs me into this closet space. I'm confused and baffled. Heart pounding. He tells me his brother wasn't supposed to be home for a while. He's confused. He then proceeds to keep ducking me while we are standing there and finishes. All in a matter of seconds. Then he goes back out, gives me my clothes, and ushers me out. The brother went upstairs. Took me a while sadly to realize what a weird and horrible experience it was. He slapped me in the face multiple times, like it was just something normal and kinky to do. That's something I feel like you should talk about beforehand to make sure everyone is on board. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.